Welcome to the Zen Studies Podcast. I'm Domio Burke. Thanks, as usual, to new supporting members of the podcast. Karsten from Aarhus in Denmark. Jakob, or sorry if it's Jacob, from Raleigh, North Carolina. Robin from Christchurch in New Zealand. And Jetska from Güstrow in Germany. Apologies for releasing only 2 episodes in June instead of 3. I have been working on what will end up being at least a 2-part, maybe 3-part episode on Dana, the Paramita of Generosity, Buddhist teachings on the perfection of giving. I've ended up spending a lot of time preparing for that episode once I realized I wanted to give you a good overview of Buddhist teachings on the subject rather than just talk about my own sense of it, which is fine sometimes, of course, but I hope you will find my Dana episodes worth the wait, and I will publish them in July. In the meantime, though, I figured I would offer you another Teisho, or Dharma Talk, given usually within the context of a meditation retreat. And as I've said before, Teisho differ from my usual episodes in that they're not informational or conversational. They're meant to point listeners toward the great matter experientially. And ideally, you can listen to them without a whole lot of activity or distraction going on. Listeners in retreat are seated quietly in the meditation hall, and the atmosphere remains meditative. So you might think of this as a cross between a Dharma talk and a guided meditation. Anyway, here goes. It is never apart from this very place. In his essay, Fukan Zazengi, Zen Master Dogen says, "The way is originally perfect and all-pervading. It is never apart from this very place." What is never apart from this very place? And why do we practice, seek, study, sit? Why do we do retreat? To try to find what? What is it? The way. Bodhicitta is our way-seeking mind, the mind that just arises in us and says, there has to be a better way. That's what arises in us if we have suffering or dissatisfaction in our lives. Or even if we don't have that much of it in our lives, we want to be more awake. We want to be more compassionate, more free. So we seek. Particularly the kind of extreme practices of silent meditation retreat and even, say, monastic home leaving are examples of people going to great lengths to find something, seek something, manifest something. In our retreats, even our one-day retreats sometimes, we sit or are in silence from about 5:30 a.m. until 8:30 p.m. It's about 15 hours worth of practice. And it can get, kind of long, sometimes kind of grueling. What are we doing that for? It's certainly a question that occurs to us when we are doing it. And even if you don't do them, why do these other people do it? There are many ways to describe what it is we are seeking. But one way is to think that we are trying to ground ourselves in what is real. We're trying to awaken to access, to remember the sphere of experience and action, of direct experience and action. Everything else is really mental abstraction. If we knew we were going to die tomorrow, we would want to be awake for our life, our real life, not all of our thoughts about our life, or anticipation of the future, or running over the past. What is real? Only here. Only here. But we don't limit ourselves to some idea of here. It's not about adopting an idea of here as being this room, this building, this city, this country. Here does not have to have any boundaries or ideas attached to it. And yet we know from our direct experience, it has a reality. Only now is real. And yet, again, we don't limit ourselves to some idea of now. If you really look closely, something we might call, quote unquote, the present moment cannot be grasped. As soon as you think about it, it is gone. What is now? Only you. Your practice can only take place within and through your body-mind. But this, again, is not a matter of adopting some limited idea of you. Everything else, past and future and elsewhere, thoughts about things, opinions, alternate realities, etc. These are all mental abstractions. They are real in a sense, like a dream is real. When we say everything else is a mental abstraction and only here and now is real, this isn't saying that anything that we can't immediately perceive doesn't exist. Friends and family, other places, other beings and manifestations don't blink out of existence when we're not there, paying attention to them, of course. The universe is not dependent on your individual consciousness to be. But in the realm of reality, if your loved ones aren't here, you cannot hug them. You cannot truly appreciate their own being. You can only think of them in abstract. And yet intimacy is still part of our experience. What is that about? This brings us back to this, what is here? Where are the boundaries on here? What is now? And what are you? Our connection to beings is not something that we imagine. So in a sense, it is not a mental abstraction. We adopt practices for grounding ourselves in reality. Reality with a capital R. This is our zazen, our meditation. This is our practice of moment by moment mindfulness throughout the day. This is a practice of retreat or other contemplative activities you may have as part of your life. And within these things, we are trying to let go of all stories, all that is not real. So many things that are not inherently real. They are stories about reality. Who are you? When you think of that, when you pause and ask yourself what kind of sense of yourself you have, what will spring to mind is a whole bunch of stories about your strengths, your weaknesses, your problems, your fears, your hopes. You're likely to have stories about the things you should try to work on, fix, your anger, judgmentalism, perhaps lust, addiction, thinking. You think of yourself as a man or a woman or something other than that. You have a name. Some sounds that we string together and then represent with some scribbles. And that can substitute for you somehow. You may think of yourself as attractive or ugly, likable, or maybe rather socially awkward. You have things you're proud of, things you're ashamed of, stories you might tell about achievements or failures, aspects of your life which make you happy, sad, or anxious. All of these things are stories. They're not reality with a capital R. When we let go of them for even a moment, what we find is freedom. What we may perceive is thusness or suchness. Just the miraculous nature, the preciousness of things just as they are. When we start practicing, this is great. We develop mindfulness. We reduce some suffering and stress in our life. Let go of some of our stories. Start recognizing stories. But then we also start telling stories about our practice. We are capable, good meditator, good at understanding the Dharma, good at functioning within Sangha, or whatever it is that you identify as practice. You're very good at maintaining mindfulness. Or you're not. You're not good at this or that. You might have stories about what you understand. I understand emptiness. I don't understand emptiness. We have thoughts about in what ways we are insufficient and need to develop or attain something. Or maybe we tell the story that we don't need to develop or attain anything. The whole point is that you already have everything you need. We have stories about how we manifest our aspirations and Buddhist ideals in everyday life. The challenges of keeping the precepts or being compassionate. And this how of our practice is very important in one sense. But in trying to ground ourselves in reality, it is irrelevant. Any story you might tell, and I have told many of them through the years. If a teacher is telling you you have everything you need right here, right now, you have Buddha nature, anything you might say, but I fall asleep in meditation all the time. But sometimes my anger gets the better of me. But I don't have a lot of patience with this person in my family. All of this is utterly irrelevant to this particular aspect of our practice, to trying to ground ourselves in reality. So how do we ground ourselves in reality? How do we go about dropping our stories? Our ancestors, Dharma ancestors, talk about mind. And they don't always capitalize it, but I think of it as mind with a capital M. This is a koan from Mumonkan, The Gateless Gate, case 19. Joshu asked Nansen, "What is the way?" "Ordinary mind is the way," Nansen replied. "Shall I try to seek after it?" Joshu asked. "If you try for it, you will become separated from it," responded Nansen. What is ordinary mind? We need to look closely, intimately, at our own direct experience. Doing this tells us everything we need to know for spiritual liberation. We think ordinary mind might mean our disturbed, often disturbed, agitated, distracted, restless, dull mind. All the different ways that our experience of the mind can be. When Joshu asked Nansen, "What is the way?" he asked way with a capital W. So if ordinary mind is the way, does that mean our disturbed, agitated, distracted, restless mind, our mind overcome with negative emotions. This is the way? Just nothing more to be expected than this? Who needs it? We naturally hope for calm and spacious mind, to have a sense of being in control or have an insightful mind. We want to get rid of the rest of it, the problems, the agitation, and cultivate special mind. And maybe that special, calm, spacious mind becomes ordinary for people who have advanced practice, but not for us. But this is not what ordinary mind means. Mind does not equal thoughts or emotions or states. Ask yourself, is mind itself disturbed, agitated, distracted? Or is mind how we know disturbance, agitation, or distraction has arisen? Ordinary mind is always there. Not something we attain through special effort or levels of meditative concentration or awakening experiences. It's not something we'll manage to grasp in the future. Many times throughout the day, you are resting in ordinary mind, whether you realize it or not. It is the space between the content, the background of the static, the boundless awareness within which everything takes place. It is never apart from this very place, and that means it is never apart from your own direct experience at any moment. Yet although it is never lacking, we may easily miss it, identifying instead with the content and conditions of our minds, identifying with our stories, our mental map. Although it is ordinary, it doesn't mean it isn't of the utmost importance. Master Bodhidharma said in the Bloodstream Sermon, "Beyond this mind, you'll never see a Buddha. The Buddha is a product of your mind. Why look for a Buddha beyond this mind?" Mind with a capital M is ungraspable. But fortunately, we don't need to grasp it. It is like the space through which everything moves. All we need to do is refrain from imputing inherent reality to the content of our mind and become more identified with that space through which everything comes and goes, arises and falls. And this is not about dissociation or spiritual bypassing, where you avoid or deny the reality of anything painful or troubling. That's just another version of telling stories. Mind with a capital M does not exclude or deny anything. But even when terrible things come into our experience, the mind itself is not disturbed. like the deep ocean under the waves. When we truly relax dependence on our stories, great compassion flows freely. Great intimacy is present because interdependence is not a figment of our imagination. May you notice mind with a capital M, ordinary mind, which is always there. No matter how busy or agitated, whatever the content of your mind, the condition of your mind. I will be back soon with a new episode. I hope you'll tune in. Thanks for listening.